Zach Wilson had lived on his family's farm for 35 years, long enough to recognize the sound of anything that moved across his property. Coyotes, tractors, even the occasional storm-toppled power line. But nothing prepared him for the scream of metal that tore across the midnight sky. It wasn't thunder, though it shook the windows of his old farmhouse just the same. Throwing on his boots, Zach stepped out onto the porch and saw a streak of fire cut through the night, ending in a plume of smoke near the north field. His first thought was that a small plane had gone down. His second was that he was about to meet something entirely new. The vessel was long and narrow, its hull scorched black but glinting faintly under the moonlight. Markings, flowing lines, and curling glyphs ran across its metal skin. Zach approached carefully, the acrid scent of burned soil rising around him. Through the fractured canopy he saw her, a young woman, blue-skinned, unconscious. When Avara first awoke, she trembled at the edges of the unknown. On Wraitheth, she had been told little of her fate. Her banishment was swift, humiliating, and absolute. She had been informed only that she would be cast down upon a death world, a place where survival was impossible. That her life was over, ended not by execution, but by abandonment. So when she opened her eyes and found herself in a small bedroom filled with books, quilts, and sunlight streaming through a curtained window, her mind rebelled. This was no barren wasteland. This world lived, it flourished. And there, watching over her with quiet patience, was a man with kind but cautious eyes. Zach Wilson, farmer, 35, weathered by work but gentle in manner. He did not understand her words, but he spoke softly all the same. "My name's Zach," he said quietly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "You're safe here." Her reply was musical but incomprehensible. She spoke quickly, hands moving as if to convey urgency. He shook his head, helpless. In the quiet days that followed, Zach and Avara settled into a rhythm. She devoured his books, learning history, science, and the peculiarities of English. She was brilliant, faster than anyone Zach had ever met. But she was also curious, wandering the farm with childlike wonder. Her hunger for knowledge was fierce. Within days, she was reading English with halting accuracy, tracing words with a fingertip as Zach nodded encouragement. By the end of the week, their halting exchanges became conversations. By the end of 2, she could tell him her story without stumbling. The night she explained the truth of her banishment, Zach had leaned against the farmhouse wall, arms folded. All that for dropping a tray of drinks? Avara's cheeks glowed faintly in the lantern light. "Prestige," she said bitterly. "Appearances. I shamed them in front of leaders, so they declared me disposable." Zach shook his head. "Damn fools." Then softer. "Guess their loss is my luck." Her lips curved into the smallest smile, the first he'd seen from her. By the end of the week, black vehicles rolled down Zach's dusty road. Government men in suits surveyed the crash site, hauling the strange vessel away on flatbeds under canvas tarps. Tracking dogs swept the fields, handlers shouting orders. Zach sat on his porch, watching, heart pounding. In his cellar below, Avara waited silently, her faint blue glow dimmed by the shadows. The dogs nosed the ground, tugged at their leashes, then whined in confusion. They found nothing. Avara, like all Renethians, left no scent, no biological trail to follow. One agent paused near Zach's porch. "Anyone else out here that night?" he asked. "Just me," Zach replied evenly. "Heard the crash, thought it was lightning." The man squinted at him, then moved on. For weeks, government trucks came and went. Dogs swept the fields, handlers cursed into radios, men in suits demanded answers. Each time Avara hid in the cellar, breath shallow, trembling. Each time the dogs whined, pawed, and found nothing. Finally, one agent slammed a clipboard shut. Impossible. If there was an occupant, the dogs would have had a trail. The search dwindled. The vehicles stopped coming. The farm returned to silence. For Zach and Avara, it was a silence that meant safety. With danger fading, their days stretched into something unexpected. Avara followed Zach into the fields, helping as best she could. Her fingers were not made for heavy labor, but she was eager, learning to mend wire, haul buckets, scatter seed. Sometimes, when she stumbled, Zach's hand caught hers. It was never more than a brief touch, steadying, reassuring, but Avara held on to the warmth long after he let go. One evening, while they repaired a fence at the edge of the pasture, their shoulders brushed as they worked side by side. Avara glanced at him, cheeks faintly brighter. Zack cleared his throat and focused stubbornly on the hammer in his hand. Neither pulled away. Nights on the farm became their sanctuary. Avara, who had once stood beneath the glittering skies of Retheth, now marveled at Earth's constellations. "Your stars feel closer," she whispered one night. Lying beside Zack in the grass, their shoulders touched, both staring upward. "Maybe they're just brighter without all your, would you call it, crystal towers?" he asked. "Spire cities," she corrected gently. "And yes, brighter." For a long time they said nothing. Then Avara turned to him, eyes searching. "I thought I had been sent to die, but here I have life, and you." Zack swallowed hard. "Guess I never thought I'd say it, but I'm glad your ship came down on my field." By the third month, their bond was undeniable. It wasn't romance, not in the way Zack had once imagined it should be, but something deeper, companionship carved out of loneliness. Innocent moments lingered, her hand brushing his when they passed a tool, her head resting against his shoulder as she drifted into sleep by the fire, his quiet laughter at her still imperfect idioms. They both realized, in different ways, that they were far happier than before fate had collided their worlds. Zack, who had lived in solitude for years, found himself waking each day with purpose. Avara, who had been cast out as worthless, found herself cherished simply for existing. One morning, as they walked the rows of young corn, Avara stopped, turned to Zack, and said plainly, "I do not wish to go back. Even if I could, I choose here. I choose this." Zack, taken aback, studied her earnest gaze. Then, without hesitation, he took her hand, their fingers intertwined, simple and unassuming. "Then you're home," he said. The world beyond the farm soon forgot the crash. The vessel, hidden away in government vaults, became just another unsolved anomaly. The case files gathered dust. But on a quiet stretch of farmland, a banished Renethian girl and a solitary farmer found something both had been denied: a life worth living. Two souls, discarded and overlooked, choosing to stay side by side, and for the first time, neither felt alone.